Where are you going?
Hey everyone, it's Skyee here, and today we are going to be starting a new color along. Me and one of the other admins from the Hannah Lynn group decided to do this picture for a color along, mostly because it has a lot of background, it has a good amount of skin and a good amount of hair, which is what she's looking for. And I know a lot of us struggle with those things as well, so it'd be nice to do something with all three of those concepts. So I'm not going to go into this picture with any rhyme or reason. I'm just kind of going to go in where I know my colors, as always, and then I'm going to work out from there. So I have no idea for color combinations for the entire page yet. We're going to start off with the tail because I know how I want that to be, and other than that, we're just kind of gonna go from there. So I'm just gonna zoom in here and then just quickly open the door for my cat. Yes. Go ahead. She's a silly little thing. She always closes the door on herself and then can't figure out how to get it open. Okay, so I'm not going to use my color swatches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say the colors that I'm using, and if I'm feeling really ambitious when I'm editing this video, maybe I will listen through the whole video and put in color codes just in the corner or something. I'll figure something out. But anyways, for the tail, the colors I've picked out are Pomegranate, which is PC195, Mulberry, PC995, Hot Pink, PC993, Salmon Pink, PC1001, Deco Yellow, PC1011, and Cream, PC914. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pomegranate and I'm going to figure out where my shadows are going to be. So I'm actually going to try to place my shadows based on where the sun in this image is, which would be behind her. So for the most part, the highlights are going to be pretty much here. And then technically, she probably wouldn't have a highlight here because the rock would be kind of shielding the sun from hitting this part of her tail, and then her body would be shielding the sun from hitting this part. So technically this would actually be in shadow. But I'm not going to go too complicated with the shadows because I have a hard time with them myself. So I'm just going to take my pomegranate and I'm just going to start placing in my shadows here. So just run it along the bottom and then blend it out a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, and actually, before I get too far ahead of myself, I'm going to take a piece of paper and put it beneath my page. So I don't want to wreck the pages behind it. For her little upper fin here, what I'm going to do is just kind of color everything how I normally would, and then I'm also going to go back in later with like really thin white paint or maybe just a white Prisma and kind of make it look like kind of like some white mesh, like wedding veil fabric. I'm not sure if there's a proper term for that. Not sure if you can hear my cat clicking. She's bird watching right now. I find that to be one of the silliest noises ever. It makes me smile every time. Which is good, because if I'm being honest, I am a little bit hungover this morning. And my friend was in town last night, so we went out for some drinks. Thankfully, I stick to my, as my dad would call it, my little kid beer, so I'm not too bad, just a little stomach sick this morning. Does not help that I did not eat supper last night, and then drinking on top of that was a very bad idea. But it was fun. I never mind drinking as long as it's not going overboard, which I usually never do. Unless I'm with my dad, surprisingly. He's a bad influence. Okay, I think I'm actually going to bring another color into this. I want something just to kind of deepen the shadows in some places here, so you can see that there's kind of shadows that are meeting each other. So I want to kind of give them a little bit of depth so they don't look too similar. So I'm going to pull out, okay, let's see, pomegranate is our darkest right now. So I'm not sure whether to go with a more reddish purple or bluish purple. I think I want to go with I think I want to go with the black grape, or maybe let's go with my trusty dioxazine purple hue. That seems to be one of my favorite colors. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that out. If I can find it here. I think it's pretty small. I'm going to have to try and find another one of those, and then another light green. Okay, so I'm going to take my dioxazine purple hue and I'm going to deepen up the shadow here. Now I'm just using light pressure, no need to burnish or press hard or anything. I'm just kind of mapping out the colors a little bit. And then I'm also going to darken up here a little bit. Okay, back to the pomegranate. Just going to lightly go back over that and then just kind of blend it out in some areas. Just going to keep lightly adding color until it gets a little bit deeper, but the page still isn't quite burnished. It's one thing I'm loving about the paper in this book. So you can layer really, really nicely on it. So as we get to here, this is where we're going to start to see a little bit of the highlight on her tail. So I'm going to kind of fade that out, and then same with here. Once we get past the rock, we're going to notice that highlight too, so I'm going to fade that out there as well. Okay, now I'm going to go in with mulberry. And I'm just kind of going to go over top of everything, but bring it into the middle of her tail a little bit more. Really light pressure, making sure to just kind of fade it out. and for the most part I'm pretty much always using circular motions. Usually the only time I don't use circular motions is when I'm like close to a line and you kind of gotta follow it. Got a little bit of color outside of her tail there. Okay. So now I'm going to switch to the hot pink. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I apologize. So what I was in the process of saying was I apologize for the camera moving around because my cat was laying on the shelf, but my phone actually ended up dying, so I had to wait for a little bit for it to charge. So anyways, we're still going in with the hot pink, and just kind of going to bring this color out a little bit, just really lightly, just kind of playing around with it. I'm going to do that all around where we've put in shadows. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the salmon pink, and this one is a little bit different than the other pinks that we've used because it's a little bit more orangey, but that's what I'm kind of going for. So I'm going to use this, and I'm kind of going to go over everything just really lightly. Here I'm pretty much just going to kind of color in just the rest of this area. Still really light, so I might bring the pinks out a little bit more. I'm not sure yet. And then same with these areas. Okay, I'm going to bring this kind of just up to the edges here that we've kind of left. And then I'm going to fade it out before I hit that edge, so there's still a good portion of white here. And then what I'm going to do there, I'm going to take my Deco Yellow, and using a medium pressure, I'm going to go ahead and put some of that in along the edge here for the highlight. I don't want to burnish it yet because I don't want the highlight to be too yellow, so I'm going to go back over this with the cream to kind of knock it back a little bit. Okay. I switch back to the dioxazine purple hue, and I'm going to come back into these deeper shadows, just add a little bit more in there. making sure to fade it out towards where the pinks are going to be. And same within here. And then I'm going to switch to pomegranate. And I'm going to come in and burnish the edges of our shadows. I'm going to kind of make just a little bit of a triangle here and then fade it out just to kind of create a little bit of a circular look here, just because I don't really like that straight edge look. Just gonna close my door over a little bit. My little man's watching a movie. I'm not sure if the camera's picking up the sound from that or not. Okay, so I think that's looking good for shadows, and I'm going to go back in with the mulberry, and I'm just going to bring this out from that pomegranate a bit. I'm not going to bring it out too far because it's a fairly dark color, and I don't want there to be too much shadow. I'm using a medium, sorry, it's my phone. I'm using a medium pressure near the shadows, and then fading it out using a lighter pressure as I get closer to the highlights. Okay. Next, in with the hot pink. And I'm just going to go over pretty much everything with this, just to make sure that our shadows are really burnished, and kind of lighten them up just a little bit so they're not so dark, and that will help blend into the rest of the colors as well. I'm just gonna get my little man another piece of pizza. I'll be right back. I'm going to quickly switch to my salmon pink here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend just slightly into the yellow. And then just kind of figure out how much of this color I want to keep in there. So I think that looks good. I'm going to switch back to my hot pink. And I'm going to have a fairly dense layer coming out from these darker colors. And then when I get to the middle, I'm going to really lighten up my pressure. But I'm going to go over pretty much everything really lightly. And that will hopefully help our salmon pink blend into there a little bit easier. So I'm using a fairly firm pressure up here. I'm not going to put very much of the salmon pink up here at all. I'm going to kind of keep it more around here and a little bit in her tail, or her lower tail, I mean. And then I'm just going to lightly go over everything in the middle here. And then I'm going to switch to the salmon pink. I'm just going to start lightly going over that with this and just kind of seeing how that will look. looks pretty good. I might have to go back and forth a couple times just to kind of get that blend a little bit nicer. Switch back to the hot pink, and I'm just going to work on getting that transition smoother. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the salmon pink a little bit until it makes a nice transition. So for example, I'm just putting a little bit in here. The transition from the pink going into the salmon pink is a little bit smoother compared to up here, where you can tell that the pink just kind of stops here and then it's just salmon pink. So that smooth transition where you can't really tell where the colors stop and start is what we're after. I'm just going to lightly go over everything again. Do the same thing down here. And then I'm going to switch back to the salmon pink again and just lightly go over it again. I'm going to go over the pink with this a little bit too. And I'm going to very, very lightly go over the yellow with this as well. And then I'm going to go back in with the Deco Yellow, and I'm going to go over the salmon orange, or salmon pink a little bit, and make it a little bit more of an orange tone. Maybe go over the pink a little bit too. I like how it's looking. And maybe just a little bit here. I'll switch back to my hot pink and just put a little bit more in here too. Just to kind of really accentuate the curve right here in her tail. Make sure it's blended out really well. And I think I like that, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in with the cream, and I'm going to use this to go over the yellow here and just kind of knock it back a little bit. And then I'm also going to use the cream to burnish in the areas where we put the salmon pink. Okay, and I like how that looks. So usually what I do is I usually wait until I have everything finished to do the final parts, but here I'm just going to finish things off as I go. So what I'm going to do, I have two nail polishes here. I have a Sally Hansen Complete Salon Manicure, and this is called Snow Globe. And then I also have a Sally Hansen Hard as Nails Extreme Wear, and this is called Disco Ball. So what I'm going to do is take the disco ball and just pretty much put it all over her tail. Okay, so I use this nail polish because it's holographic and it's clear and just super beautiful. If you don't have nail polish, you could also use you'd use stickles. I'm not sure what color this one is. They don't have colors, the ones that I got, but it's very similar. It's not really holographic, but it's more of like I'm not really sure how I'd describe it. It's more kind of like pearlescent. It's really pretty and soft colors, but the stickles are a little bit more expensive, so I actually do prefer using nail polish because it's cheaper. I think I paid like maybe $3 for this bottle, and I paid $8 for a pack of 3 stickles. So you could also use Wink of Stella, or you could just do it the old school way and go in and just use the dot method, which I will probably go back in and put some white dots in here later on. I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to go back in with this snow globe one just to give it a little bit of a chunkier texture, because the glitter in the snow globe has some bigger pieces. But you can just see how glittery that is. It's so pretty. So while that's drying, I'm going to start working on her fins. And to be honest, I always get a little bit stumped with the fins. Not really quite sure how to color them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to search up basically like mermaid tails. And see what comes up. And it comes up with mermaid tails you can buy, which isn't quite what I'm looking for, but I guess it'll give us a little bit of inspiration anyways. Kind of like that. Okay, so I think I'm going to try and keep the darker colors towards the ends, and then lighter colors in the middle maybe. Not quite sure. Okay, I'm going to go in with my pomegranate. And I'm just going to come in along the side here. Just make sure that I'm in. Okay, camera. Good. I'm just going to follow the curve of her fin here. Just using a light pressure because I might change things up a little bit. I just want to see how it's going to look. And then I'm going to go in with the dioxazine purple hue. I'm going to put a bit of that in there. Okay, I'm going to go back in with the pomegranate, and I'm going to bring it out a little bit more. I want there to be a fair bit of shadow in her fin to really accentuate the highlights. Okay, so I think actually what I'm going to do, I don't think I'm going to put this nail polish on her tail. I'm thinking I'm going to wait and finish everything behind. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do the part that I can. I'm just going to put this nail polish here on the little frills of her fins. Yeah, I'll get you ice cream.
And right now.
Excuse me. You can wait.
Baby Dido be Dada. Baby Dido.
Okay. There's a little much on there for my liking though. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to pick some off with my finger. I'm going to try and keep the glitter on there and just kind of get some of the clear polish out. Just kind of move them around a little bit. Okay, I like that. So there's just a little bit of a subtle difference between the tail and then the frills on the tail. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do that for her fins as well. We'll have to see. I apologize for the moving camera. Miss Lilo's back up on the shelf. I'm sorry, Chloe, you can't sit up there right now. She has gotten so big. My camera zoomed in, so you can't really see her too good. See if I can get her turned over here. Can you say hi? And she's like, nope, not liking it. She was our rescue cat. We adopted her from a local place here, and I'm just going in with my pomegranate again. I'm going to keep bringing this out. And we adopted her from there, and she's still very skittish, a very scared cat. Any loud noises or sudden movements, and she's gone. She'll go hide. I think she was abused when she was a kitten. I also think that she was starved quite a few times too, because if she smells food, she's worse than a dog. She will find everything on the floor. She's constantly trying to get up on the table. Anytime there's food, she just feels like she has to have it. And our other cat, Stitch, he couldn't really care less. Unless it's milk, then he wants it. But even then, he'll just sit there and meow at you. He's not going to go and try and force his way in there to get it. But she's made a lot of progress. Before, I couldn't even pick her up. Now she lets me pick her up. She's super cuddly. She loves cuddling with me. She's starting to cuddle with my hubby now, too. She's starting to trust him. I think it was a guy that abused her. So they're finally getting along. And just her whole attitude has just changed. She's so playful and just so loving. She still gets scared fairly easily, but not like she used to. So I think she's finally feeling secure, which is awesome. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm liking this color here, so I'm going to go ahead and burnish the edges here. Let's try and get all of her fin in the camera. Just a little bit here with that nail polish, so I'll go back in later. It just kind of looks funny because it just stops before her tail does. Anyways, we'll keep burnishing this. Okay, I'm going to come in here too and just start getting our shadows in there as well. Then I'm going to go in with the dioxazine purple hue and just deepen that shadow up quite a bit. And then go back in with the pomegranate and I'm going to burnish it and bring it out a little bit. Okay. So now I'm going to switch to my mulberry and just going to kind of go over all of this and then fade it out a little bit. Probably go just a little bit past this line here. So if you guys follow along with my channel fairly often, you'd know that my New Year's resolution goal, because I don't do New Year's resolutions like normal people do, instead I set a goal and try to get it done by New Year's. And so this year my New Year's resolution goal is to finish Mermaids, Fairies, and Other Girls of Whimsy. And I'm just not sure if that's going to happen, because my other New Year's resolution goal was to color in all of the books that I like. So I have a list, and I still have, I think, like 7 or 8 to do a page in. And Mermaids and Fairies, I have a lot of pages in there to do. I did the math, and basically I'd have to do like 4 pages in a month, so I really wouldn't have time to color in any other books. So I'm thinking that's more going to be a 2-year project, but I'm definitely going to get as much as I can done in that book, and I'm especially going to work on the pages that I'm not very fond of and get them out of the way, because I find that those ones are the worst ones to try and do, especially if you're just not feeling it. And of course those are like more of the like crazy detailed ones, but I'm thinking that I'll probably end up just using my Derwent Inktense for them or something. I'm not sure yet, but I'll figure out a way to get them done a little bit faster. Okay, so I'm liking that, but I want to bring this out a little bit more on this side. So I'm going to bring them out to just past the next line. And then I'm going to switch to my hot pink. And just kind of lightly, just blocking some color here, see how it's going to look. I'm thinking just to kind of even out the yellow on her fin there, that we'll have some yellow on like the tips of these fins here, so I'm going to kind of leave some of these areas white. I think I'm even going to go in and just erase a little bit on the tip here and do a little bit of yellow on this fin as well. Make sure that we're still in. Okay, we're pretty good for the most part, I think. I want you guys to be able to see, but I don't want to be taking the camera out of, or taking the page out of the camera. So I'm liking that. I'm going to go back in with the pomegranate, and I'm going to start burnishing in the rest of the shadows. I'm going to bring this out a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the mulberry and just kind of do the same thing. I'm going to start where I faded off with the pomegranate and just going to bring it out from there. I'm going to sharpen this one a little bit. I'm going to fade this out here because I want to transition into the yellow there. I want to have a nice fade to blend the hot pink into. sure what color we're going to do her hair yet. I was thinking blonde. I'm thinking we'll get her kind of outfit done, and then I'm thinking that we'll probably end up doing the water and the sunset and stuff. I think I also might do, because usually I'll try to keep my tutorials, I think usually about an hour and a half is what I aim for, or what the majority of them are. And I should say the parts anyways, they're usually a lot longer than that, but I think that I might have them shorter and then just have more parts to a tutorial. Rather than have them longer and less parts. I'm not sure. What would you guys prefer? Like, would you guys prefer more parts and like shorter periods of time? I know for me it would be a little bit easier because then the editing wouldn't seem that so long of a process because it'd be split up a little bit more and it would upload a lot faster too. Or we could kind of keep it the same and keep them a little bit lengthier and less parts, which really doesn't make too much of a difference. Or would you guys actually rather just having the whole tutorial in just one part and then just watching it? I'm not even sure if that'd be possible though, because it'd be like 6 hours, maybe sometimes even more. I usually spend like 6 to 8 hours on a picture. I think it'd be easier to have it in parts, and then at least you guys would like know which part you were on, and I feel like it would be a little bit more organized for you, but I could be wrong, I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. 'Cause for me, I'm not following along, so I don't really know. It could be interesting though to follow along with one of my tutorials. Okay, I'm going to take my hot pink and kind of do the same thing that I did on the tail. I'm just going to go over everything. I'm going to bring it out a little bit. I'm keeping the white here. I want to keep the white all along the edges here. Everywhere where her tail isn't blocked by anything, there's going to be a bit of a yellow tinge. I'm going to fade this out quite a ways, so I'm going to do like a really, really gradual fade, since we've only really got one color left. Actually, it might be interesting to have her tail a bit more of the orangey color than the pink, so I'm actually going to fade it off right about here, I think. Carmen, what are you doing?
I'm different. I'm just made a chocolate. Just like that.
Oh, just like cat?
Yeah, just like that. Made a chocolate.
Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm not going to bring it in quite as far though. I think I'm going to kind of fade it out right about here. Hey, Stitch. Hey, pretty kitty.
Hi.
Hi, you.
Hi.
You know both my boys in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got my cat and my little man under my desk.
Yeah. I like the other yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I am going to, I feel like this gradient here just doesn't come out quite so gradual. I feel like it's just pink and then light pink and then just nothing. So I'm going to bring this out a little bit more, just very lightly. And then we're going to switch to salmon pink and go over the pink with this. And I'm still going to leave just a little bit of a sliver for the yellow to go on. And I think I'm going to go over pretty much everything with this color. I really want to bring out the orange in her fins because I feel like it will really complement her tail. I'm going to burnish where it starts to cross from the pink to the salmon pink. And then I'm going to fade it out a little bit and keep the bottom of the tail a little bit lighter. And we'll go over that with the cream just to kind of give it a little bit more of a yellowish tint and make it just a little bit lighter. And we'll do the same thing here. I'm going to bring it up a little bit here, and that's going to fade off into just a little tip of yellow. And you could view this part as kind of a fin, but I feel like it's probably the rock in the background. And even if it's not meant to be, I'm going to make it the rock in the background just to kind of give the fin this really delicate little gap between them. I feel like that makes them look just a little bit more feminine. Rather than having that filled in, they'd look a little too blocky. So I'm just going to go over the pink on this side too. I'm just using very large circles to kind of burnish the page. Sharpen my pencil again here. Just going over everything, getting the majority of those white spots out of there. There's still quite a few left. And same with the other fin. I'm just going to kind of gradually just kind of fade it out to a very light layer here. I'm just going to go back in on this side and try and get rid of some more of the white over here as well. I'm so excited. My husband came home and I mentioned how I wished we had orange juice because they are so great for a day after drinking. I don't know what it is. I just love drinking orange juice when I don't feel like hydrated, or just, I don't know, it's just so fresh and like refreshing. So what does the sweetheart do? He goes out and he's getting me some orange juice. Super excited. I can't wait till he gets back. Okay. I'm just very, very lightly, I'm going to go over these areas where we've left the white. Just kind of give the yellow a bit more of an orangish feel to it. And then I'm going to go in with the Deco Yellow now. And I'm going to use a medium pressure. Just put the yellow at the tips here. And just bring it in a little bit into the other colors. I'm really, really loving how this is turning out. I'm going to lightly put some in at the bottoms here. Okay, and lastly, I'm going to grab the cream and I'm going to go in and burnish over top of that Deco Yellow. As well as this lighter area here. I'm not sure if I'm going to put glitter on her tail. I might do just like little lines maybe of glitter, but I'm not going to do the whole tail glittery. But we will do that after. We're going to tackle her top and her flower now, because I want pretty much all of her to match. So I'm going to start with this flower. So I'm going to grab my pomegranate color. And I'm just going to go in on the very insides of the flower. Kind of fade it out a little bit. I'm going to grab the dioxazine purple hue and just put a little bit of this closer to the center. Then I'm going to grab the mulberry and I'm going to use that to burnish all of that and push it out just a little bit. I don't want this too dark. I want it to be a fairly light flower. Oh, there's my neighbor's dogs if you can hear them. Alright, 1 minute, kiddo. And now I'm going to switch to the hot pink. And yeah, I'll turn it back on for you in a minute, okay?
Alright.
So I'm just going to bring this up to the tips of the flower, but I'm going to leave a spot of white there. And I'm going to do that for all of these petals. And then I'm going to skip straight to the cream, and I'm going to use that at the tips. And I'm going to blend it a little bit into the pink as well. just like that. Okay, and her shirt. Actually, let's tackle the seahorse first. So for the seahorse, I'm just going to go in with, let's see, let's go in with the mulberry. And just give it a little bit of shadow here, just like that. And then I'm going to go in over top of that and just color over everything with the salmon pink. And then I'm going to go back over it again, burnishing it with the deco yellow to kind of give it that orangish color, just like that. Okay, and for her top now, I think I want to have her top a little bit darker. So I'm going to go in with the pomegranate, and I'm pretty much just going to color over top of everything. I'm going to go back in with my Posca pen and kind of bring out those spots. They're going to be white, I think. If you don't have a Posca pen or paint or anything that you can go back over those, I suggest not going over top of them. Okay, and I can tell that this is part of her bikini here, but I'm not sure what this part right here is. Because yeah, I imagine her waist would probably come up to about here, and then her bikini, or maybe her waist curves and comes this way. I'm not sure. I'm just going to darken up this bottom here, and then I'm going to go back over top with the pomegranate. I apologize for my cat. Stitch, what is wrong with you? He does this weird scratch, like every time he uses the litter box, he has to like scratch his paws coming out of it. And then he does that with water too. I can put fresh water in the bowl and he'll do this weird digging thing where he like digs underneath the bowl. And I don't know if he thinks he's like digging up fresher water or what, but he's a very strange cat. Anyways, I'm not going to bring this up too high. Higher than it already is anyways. We're going to switch to the hot pink. And I'm not going to bring this up very much either. I'm just going to bring it up a tiny bit from that pomegranate. And then I'm going to finish completely burnishing down here with the hot pink. Fade it out a little bit more up here though. I want a good transitional layer for our next color, which is the salmon pink, which I'm just going to lightly put in up here and then use some medium pressure to blend into the hot pink down here. And then go over top of that with the deco yellow, just like that. And see, I think I want to keep these two little starfishes really, really light. So I'm just going to do a very light layer of salmon pink. And then I'm going to completely burnish it with the deco yellow. Okay, and for these pearls, let's make sure that, okay, that whole necklace is in focus. I'm gonna zoom up on that as much as I can here, just so you guys can hopefully see the detail. So what I'm gonna do with these pearls is I'm just going to put just these little half circles, just kind of in the more bottom corner, the bottom right corner of the pearl. And these little half circles aren't going to be touching anything. I'm not really sure if you can see that. It's very tiny. kind of gives the effect that makes it look like they're a bit rounded. So I'm going to do that with all of these little beads. And then I'm going to go over top of them with the cream, I think. Okay. For this little one here, I'm going to keep that one a little bit darker. So I'm going to go in with the pomegranate. And then the dioxazine purple hue. And then the hot pink. For the chain here, I'm going to grab a metallic gold gel pen, and I'm just going to use that on the chain. Just gives it a little bit of a metallic look to it. Makes it kind of look a little bit interesting, even though it's a really small detail. Okay, so now that that's done, I just noticed that I got quite a bit of color on her hair here, so I'm just going to erase that a little bit. Lilo. What are you doing? I have no clue what I'm going to do when I'm recording in the summertime because I'm going to have my window open all the time and these cats are going to want to be on my shelf and I don't know where I would put my camera. These little turkeys. Okay, I missed one little bead here. So now what I'm going to do is grab my Posca pen. And you can also use any kind of white gel pen or acrylic paint or anything for this. I'm going to put in just a couple dots on this hibiscus flower, I think that's what it's called.
Oh yeah.
And just a couple dots on the starfish. And then her shirt. You're silly. You got my hair clipped.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm also going to put in a couple of sparkles on her tail, and not a whole bunch of dots, but just a few. Just kind of all over. and keep it a little bit random, like some in clusters, some farther away. Just gives it the appearance of a little bit more sparkle. And now I'm going to take my nail polish. This is the Disco Ball, the smaller glitter one.
Thin, but it's a little bit hard with nail polish. Because this polish is a little gloopy. I use it so much, it's one of my favorites. Yeah, I think a little bit of a mistake there. Thankfully, I have a good nail polish, so you can just wipe it off before it dries, which is really nice. One thing done. So just kind of painting some lines with glitter along pretty much all the lines with fins. Some are very sparse and some have a little bit more, just trying to make it a little bit more interesting.
So zoom out a little bit here.
Hello, Mommy.
Hello, baby.
Hello, hello. I don't touch here. I don't touch it.
Oh, sorry, Kitty's on the shelf again.
Huh?
So I think, I'm not really sure how far along we are, but I think this is going to be the stopping point for part 1. I think I'm going to do just smaller parts for this color along anyways, and if you guys want it done differently, again, just let me know. So, I look forward to seeing you guys in my next part. I hope you guys follow along and enjoy this.